If you want to learn how to organize like a pro, this live is for you. Happy Tuesday, my beautiful people. Happy another live with Shalina B. Today we're going to talk about organizing, home organizing. Some tried and true tips. It is spring. It is April. It always doesn't look like spring in Michigan because I feel like we had like a snow hail mix earlier, but rain showers bring beautiful flowers, or whatever the saying is. So we are in the middle of our spring refresh series. Last week we talked about our laundry routine. So if you are in need of a new laundry routine, or you need some to refresh your current ones, then definitely check out that replay. Share it with another mommy friend who also needs some tips in the laundry area. And yeah, we're going to keep these topics going. If there are ever anything throughout this series that you want me to touch on, that you need to revamp in your household, maybe it's a system or a routine, or just some home management that you just need a little bit of help on, I would love to bring up that series or bring up the topic on this series. So definitely DM me, chat with me, and let me know. And yeah, because I'm pretty sure if you have a question, somebody else has one as well, and we can help and reach and teach each other because we are a community here. If you are new here, I am Shalina B, your go-to mom for family meals and routines. And I also teach the importance of prioritizing your self-care as a mom, as a woman. I teach women how to find and reignite their joy, find that spark of joy and creativity in your life, because oftentimes we have so many roles and responsibilities. We're caring for everybody else. We are burnt out because we are working and doing all of the things, so we don't often find the time for joy. We don't find the time for creativity. We have to mom, we have to wife, we have to show up in all these roles, but we still need to show up for ourselves, show up for the little inner us inside that needs that joy and that happiness inside. So I teach my moms, again, how to prioritize those things and also pursue our passions and our interests and our hobbies and things. Because, again, it's attached to that joy. It's attached to the creativity. And sometimes it becomes profitable as well, whether it's a side hustle or just something that we really enjoy and we want to do. So I am a true believer that when your mind is cluttered and your spaces are cluttered, it keeps you away from connecting to yourself and connecting to your creator, our God that created us. And this is why we want to make sure that we have time for self-care, so we can reconnect, so we can declutter our minds, we can meditate, we can just get all of that stuff out of our brains so we can think clearly, we can hear from God, and we can connect to ourselves and the things that we enjoy, but also clear our homes and free it of clutter and clear our spaces. So again, we have that room for peace and ease, because I know when things are just kind of chaotic in my household of 6, I don't have a lot of peace and ease, and I continue to strive for a life of peace and ease. It just makes me so happy to have that. I'm teaching my kids calm and peace and ease, and obviously sometimes life is a beautiful chaos, is a beautiful mess, and that's okay as well, but there is a balance of both. I think that is necessary to have, and those are good skills to teach our kids to find that ease and that peace even in stressful situations. So today we're going to talk about my 4-step tried and true organization plan that helps me maintain my home systems and organization as a busy mom of 4 and in our household of 6. And this is what I'm currently doing in my home, just organizing a bunch of spaces, getting things refreshed. I try to maintain them throughout the year, but I don't always have the time to do them. But something about spring, that's why spring cleaning is a thing at this time. It's just something about when you get through that winter period, you know, all that snow is gone if you're in the Midwest or wherever you have snow, or just that bad weather, and, you know, spring is sprung. You have the fresh flowers and the grass, and it just makes you want to clean and have fresh spaces as well. So it's the perfect time to talk about this. So I do hope that it will be helpful. So we'll jump right into our steps. So our first step is you need to, I just did the thumbs up. That's funny. The first step is you need to assess your goals. What are your organization goals? Ask yourself a couple of these questions before you get started. One, what is your goal? What is your goal with organizing? Either you could do like a brain dump of all the spaces you want to organize, or maybe you prioritize your top 3 spaces. Like within this month or these next 2 or 3 months, I want to organize these 3 spaces. What is your vision for those spaces? How do you want them to feel? How do you want them to look? What is your realistic vision, of that space? And how do you want it to function? We love a good aesthetic, right? But is it functional? The aesthetics is not always functional. And for me, I like to have both. I like to have the aesthetic, but I also like it to be functional because life has to function. You know what I mean? And especially in a household for me, of 6, it just has to be functional. A little bit of aesthetic, a lot of function. So those are just some of the questions to ask yourself before you get started. And I want to give you a little bit of example using those questions. So in one of the spaces that I'm currently organizing, and one of those spaces that I'm refreshing or organizing right now is my little's room. So I have a 2-year-old, which he will be 3 in a couple of days as I'm filming this live. He will be 3 in a couple of days, and then I have a 1-year-old girl. And they share the room. And funny thing, the room, when we built this home a couple of years ago, that room was supposed to be my office. So it was built with the office in mind. It was the smallest room out of the rooms that we have upstairs. I had made the closet. We had, in our master, we wanted to do a separate tub and shower. And then I wanted the linen closet in there. They originally didn't have one in there, and they didn't have a separate tub and shower. So that was some custom things that I did. So it was a regular size closet, and I made the linen closet in our bathroom half of that closet. So they are sharing half of a closet because, again, it was only supposed to be for my office, and I knew I didn't need a lot of space. So now it's a boy and a girl shared room. So, as with systems and organization, things change. Kids, and for this, in this particular situation, when they were babies, their clothes were smaller. I didn't need a lot of space, but, as they are 3 and almost 2, and as they continue to grow and get older in this particular phase of life, they are growing out of things. So I need new solutions, new storage solutions, new organization ideas. So it is that time. It is that time because and I would say one tip that I follow, the way that I know that a system is failing or a system needs to be revamped is when I'm finding myself stuffing stuff in drawers, or I can't find a space for something. It feels overwhelming. There's no ease in putting things back. Like if I'm washing their clothes and I'm trying to fold them up and put them back, and I'm stuffing them in and I don't have room. And I once had room in a space, and then it's happening everywhere. The toys are overflowing, the clothes. I just don't have room and space for things. The closet was getting full. That is how I know that a system needs to be revamped. So if you find that one system that was flowing really well, and all of a sudden you're stuffing things and it's overwhelming and you just don't want to look at the space and don't want to do it, it's probably time to revamp that and do the next step that I'm getting ready to go to here. But yes, so that is, so for example, the question, what is your goal? My goal is to have a clean and organized shared space for their room. My vision is, to have storage solutions because they have a small closet. I want to have some I bought some curtains to block out the light so they can sleep longer, because I know when the days are lighter outside, now that we're into spring, it gets lighter in their room, and I want to make sure that they're able to take a nap, because after daylight savings time, their naps have been non-existent. Okay, and mama needs her time. And then also the curtains will add a little decor to the space, because I don't want to overwhelm the space because it's small and it's shared, but just to give a little razzle dazzle to the room without doing too much. Again, you want your space to be aesthetic and functional. So the function for the room, to everything that has a space for each child. They have their own drawer. They share a dresser. They each have 3 drawers each. In the closet, they both have their own sides and their own storage solutions in the closet to house other things. So I want a space for both of them. I want it to be easy to find things and put things up. So to hang the clothes up, I want spaces in between their clothing. I want to be able to put stuff in the drawers with ease, especially as we wash them and put them back up. If my mother's in town or anybody is helping, They can easily open the drawers, know whose is whose, and get it out easily. I also label in those drawers too. So that maybe I'll do that for a different video, or I'll do a short showing how I label and organize those drawers. Also for toys, a system for their clothes that are too small and clothes that they are not yet ready to wear. Because that is something also, as your kids are growing out of clothes, you need somewhere to put them. So I want to have a new space to put those too small clothes. So once I have a big enough pile, I can get those out and donate them and do what I need to do for those. And then I think, the other thing I put under here, and it's for when you are assessing, are your struggles. What are the struggles with the areas that you're currently doing? Because there's a reason, obviously. I think I've already talked about it, but I want to say it out loud. What is your reason for organizing the space? You're overwhelmed. Maybe things are too overwhelmed. You don't have a place for things, whatever the case may be. You want to list what are those struggles. And the struggles for their space was, it was a small space. There's too much stuff. I find myself overstuffing in the closet, in the toy bin, in the drawers. It is overwhelming to go in there and to see all the stuff. I've already started to organize it, so it's getting better. And then again, they're sharing a small space, and there's a small closet involved in that. So that is the struggles for the space. So you want to assess, you want to do all of those things within that first step. You want to assess, what is your goal? What is your vision? How do you want it to function? And what are the struggles of the space? Okay. Step 2 is to purge those items. Now, this step may take the longest, okay, because it can be very overwhelming. It's very emotional sometimes. If you are a person that has an emotional attachment to things, which is totally fine, I do as well, it may take a lot to get rid of things. And in this particular situation with getting rid of stuff in my little's room, it is sometimes emotional to really kind of figure out, what do I want to keep, what do I want to get rid of, because I want to keep everything from all of my babies. But I've realized over time, they have a lot of stuff, whether it's clothes, toys, and the older boys have a lot of papers and stuff from school, so it gets very overwhelming. So I've learned real fast to have a good method and a good system to figure out, well, what am I going to keep, what am I going to keep, what am I going to get rid of. So the first step, or first thing under purging your items, is the keep, donate, and sell method. So if you are purging clothes, I guess anything really, you could put them in piles. So you want to have your 3, maybe 4 piles. So you have a pile of stuff that you're going to keep. Either they're currently wearing it, they're going to wear it in the future, or maybe this is something sentimental. So you just have one pile for all those things. Then you have your donate pile. Maybe it's something that still has tags on it that they've grown out of. Maybe it's something that they're not going to wear and somebody else can use. Maybe it's gently worn that you can donate, because obviously you don't want to donate your ratted and tatted clothing, but you want to donate stuff that people can still wear. So you have your donate pile, and then maybe you want to sell some stuff. I do have a Poshmark. So sometimes I sell stuff. I have some stuff, baby stuff right now with tags on it that I do want to sell. So I have my pile of sell things. And now the thing about that, make sure the stuff that you're going to sell, you plan to take pictures and post them on whatever site, because that is the step right now. I have a bin sitting down in front of me that has the stuff that I'm supposed to sell, but I have to get that time so I can take the pictures and put it on the site. It doesn't take a lot of time, but for me, it's just a matter of getting to the time. So that's a tip that I'll tell you too. If you do have a pile of things that you're going to donate and things that you're going to sell, make sure that you take the time to handle that, because you'll have donate bins in your car, in your garage, just sitting there. So whatever you're going to donate, bag it up, put it in the trunk, the car. Find whatever donate site you're going to go to, find their hours, and get it out immediately. Otherwise, you're going to sit on it and it'll be hard to get it done. And then with the stuff you're selling, take a picture of it, put it on whatever platform it is, and, give it a space until you get it out there. Or if somebody wants it right away, get it out. So that way it's less stuff that's sitting there. You have less time to continue to contemplate when you've already said that you want to let it go, because sometimes we will come back and keep some things. I've been guilty of that as well. A fourth pile that you can do beyond keep, donating, and selling may be a miscellaneous pile, because sometimes maybe you don't know if you're going to keep it or not. I call it maybe the holding bin or pile, Because maybe, I don't know if I want to keep it. I don't know if I want to donate or sell it. I'm just not sure. And maybe right now is not the best time to make that particular decision, because we are on a time crunch and we want to get these things done. So have a miscellaneous pile. Make sure it's not too overwhelming and too much stuff in that pile. But sometimes we just need that until we can figure out, or if it's not clothing, we need maybe to figure out, well, I don't know where this goes. Where does this particular thing go? You know, with all the, if maybe all the other like items, this particular thing doesn't make sense and I'm not sure where it goes yet. So I'll go organize all the other spaces, and then now I'll come back to see, okay, you know, where do I put this? Is it an electronic? Is it a tool? Is it a toy? Is it clothing? Is it a home thing? You know what I mean? So you want to go back at that time to figure out where the miscellaneous thing goes into. But for the moment, so you can get things done, have a little bin or a place for the miscellaneous things. Another thing under purge, be honest, be real and honest about the things that you have. Are you going to use it? Are you going to keep it? Is it sentimental? Is it something that if you get rid of it, you're going to be thinking about it? You're going to wish you never got rid of it? Or if it's something that's been paining you to let it go, and you just, or you really want to let it go, it may be time, you know? So it's okay to keep some things, but let's just be realistic about the things that we're keeping. You know, is it something that you had great memories? It was great while it lasted. Now you can let it go because it's really just collecting dust? Or is it something that you should be keeping? Because I think that is hard, but I think once we get into a process of realizing, well, I can really probably let this go. I have not worn this in years. You know, it maybe not be sentimental. Maybe it was from something in college, but it's like, do I really need this thing? Is it really going to hold any value now for me keeping it? Am I going to, you know, if I'm not giving it to my daughter or anything, or if I'm not going to pull it out and say, hey, this was a memory I had, then you can let it go. Another thing with the purging process, the reason why sometimes it also takes a long time is because, like I said, it can be emotional, it can be overwhelming. Also, it could take a lot of time, you know, because you do have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Steps. There are a lot of steps or things you have to think about. So it's not, so you have to think about, well, what pile does it go in? Do I want to keep it? And, you know, it's the emotional things involved in there. So because it takes a lot of time, start small, start slow, and do a little bit at a time. So for me, as a busy mom, I don't have a lot of time to do all of my purging and organizing in a day. Sometimes when I watch those YouTube videos, I get overwhelmed, and I often don't watch them anymore when I see people take everything out of their closet. But sometimes that method works for people, and shout out to you if you are one of those people. But I don't have the time for that because I don't know how long it's going to take me. And in my past lives, I've talked about projects versus tasks. And typically tasks is like one step or one activity you can get things done. You typically know how long it takes you. It's not typically overwhelming, but projects, sometimes you don't know how long a project may take. And a project has a lot of steps and a lot of activities within it to reach the goal. So something like purging my little's room, that has a lot of steps to it, a lot of different areas to it. So you want to take it a little at a time. So allocate a certain amount of time. So maybe you have 30 minutes to organize a place in their room. You've already assessed, you already have, talked about your goals, how it functions, your struggles, and all those things in the room. So maybe you do one bin at a time, and maybe you take the easiest bin or maybe this one thing of toys and set your clock for 30 minutes and organize just that. And then go from there and continue to organize until you have, or purge, and you purge until you purge everything in that space. But it can be very overwhelming, but you want to keep that in mind, to allocate a little time, set a timer, and stick to that, and continue to do a little bit at a time, because we are busy. We have very busy schedules. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves or feel like it's another thing that has to be done. But if your space is overwhelmed, if your system is not working in the current season, you have to dedicate the time to update that system, update that organization, so it can be functional, and so you can have some peace and ease when you go into that space. So yeah, set a timer and stick to that so you don't overwhelm your time. Start small and you'll get to it. The third step is to organize. It's time to organize. That's the fun part. It is for me. I love organizing. It's a very fun part, but I know there are steps to take before you get to organizing. And I think that it's important to be able to do these steps before the organizing, because again, it can be very overwhelming if you kind of go out of order with the steps. So within organizing the spaces, this can also go with the assess space, but I try not to design before I purge, just so I can get that mental clutter out of the space, because sometimes you want your space to be clear so you can then start to see how the space functions or how you want it to function. Because I feel like one thing that people do when they organize, or a don't, I say a do's and don'ts, a don't that you shouldn't do when you are organizing a space, is buy a whole bunch of bins of organization stuff first. If you have not assessed your space, if you have not purged your space, you're buying a whole bunch of bins for hopes and giggles. Like, you hope that it's going to work for your space, but if you have not dedicated the time to those other steps, you're just buying a whole bunch of stuff and hoping something works. So take the time to do those steps before getting to that part. I know it's exciting. I love going into the organization section of any store. The home section, I fall in love, and I probably stay there for too long. But I really try to make sure that I wait and I see what I need, see what I already have before I organize those spaces. So after you've assessed, after you've purged, find some inspiration. So go on, whatever inspo decor sites you go to, find, I'm still a tried and true Pinterest user. So I'll look up like small space organization. They have, I love now that YouTube, you can search, obviously, because it's a search engine, but you can search videos or shorts. So if you don't want to watch a long 10-20 minute video of somebody organizing a space, you can watch a short of them just to get an inspiration for your space, because all of our spaces are different. They're designed different. So what you may see on Pinterest or YouTube is not going to look exactly the same in your house. So get some inspiration of the space. Like, I found a lot of closets that are the same type of style and size of the closet that I have, and I've had to look at a lot of different videos to find like maybe 3 that gives me the similar aesthetic that I'm looking for and function of my kids' closet. So that gives me inspiration of what I may need, how it functions as the baby stage, toddler, or they get a little older, if they're still sharing rooms at the time. So yeah, find inspiration for your style so you can have a guide of what it looks like, what it feels like. Be realistic. Again, this is inspiration. It's not a comparison thing. It's not for you to go out and break the bank and buy all of these things that you don't really need for your space, but you want it to function. You can have some aesthetic to it, but you also want it to function so you feel peaceful. You feel some ease when you go into the space and you know that it is working for you and your family. And then when you are organizing, I think this piece, let's see. You got rid of things you don't want to do. Yeah, so I just have to read my notes. So in the purging process, you've within the keep, sell, donate, or trash. Maybe that's another category too. You want to throw away things that are broken. Give away things that you don't want. Donate the things, sell the things, and then, like I said, you can start organizing your space. The other step I have with that is just, again, see what you have. You already have bins. Another thing, when you purge your spaces, you're gonna have, if you already use bins or you use organization and storage solutions, you'll end up seeing that you have some that you can reuse because you've cleared them out. You've purged the things that you've gotten rid of, and now you have more. So use what you have first, and then after that, you can see what else you may need. So the organization, like I said, I don't have a lot of tips for right now, but if there are specific things that you are struggling with organization, we can definitely expand on that. But like I said, that's the fun part. Find your inspo online, look at your space and see what you need. Use what you already have, bins and different storage solutions that you already have, and then do some research to see, okay, this is a space that I have. What kind of storage solution can I use in this space? So that's one thing that I do a lot. I love that some apps, some stores that have storage solutions, they allow you to see the item in the space. That's a 3D virtual type of thing. I love that option because I literally can point and shoot on the wall or in the closet or wherever I'm at. it'll bring up the thing, and yeah, it's not perfect, but it gives me an idea of what the thing does, what it will look like in the space. Use measuring tape. That is your best friend. I will measure a space to see, oh, will this fit? Oh, will it fit perfectly? Cool. Or if it wasn't, I have to go back to the drawing board, but then I can add in specific dimensions when I'm searching, when I'm looking for something. It was this entry table that I wanted so bad. I loved it. Oh, it was so pretty. But I thought it would be perfect for the space in our entryway. I measured the thing and I measured my space, and the space was too small for the entryway table, the thing that I've been wanting for like probably a year and a half. So I had to go back to the drawing board. So that's another thing within your organizing. Make sure that you're measuring the spaces, you're seeing the things in the spaces. So again, you don't buy all these things that you don't really need and that you can't use, because we're not trying to spend money that we don't need to spend. We want to get the things to be functional, to work for us, but not to waste money. So then the fourth and final step that I have, once you have assessed, once you have purged, once you have organized your space, then you are going to revisit the space, revisit the system, okay? Because one thing about it, an organized space doesn't stay organized just because they want to, because it's fun. You have to maintain it. So when you think about hiring, when people hire organizers for their home, people come and purge their home. And sometimes maybe, I know if you watch like hoarders or different things like that, they come back in a year and everything is back to normal. That's because you have to maintain the space. So if you have a drawer that everything has a space, everything is where it needs to be, you have to make sure that you continue that. So if something is out of place, put it back. If something's not supposed to be in the drawer, put it where it's supposed to be. If it doesn't have a space yet, maybe you have a miscellaneous bin that you put stuff in until you find a space for it. But you want to make sure that you sustain your systems, that you sustain your organization, and the way to do it is just to stay on top of it. Find a designated day to update that particular space. And you want to do it as you go on, because if you let it pile up, then it's going to be a bigger project and it's going to take more time than what you really planned on it. We all have our junk drawers, and I feel like our junk drawer is finally getting to the point where it needs to be addressed, because we've put stuff in the junk drawer that doesn't belong in there, and our junk drawer is pretty organized. I have my little bin, my little individual containers that all of them have the tools and the tape and the pencils and everything in there, but now we've added more stuff, so the junk drawer is now full. So that becomes a bigger project for me to do. But if you have spaces that you've already organized, just take 5-10 minutes to address the space, clean the stuff out, and then move forward. But that's how you keep your systems operating and functional, because you are taking the time a little bit every day or every week to address the space. And like, obviously life gets busy, so we have to do the things when we can. But if you don't want to be stressed out, if you want to have spaces that bring you peace and ease, you want to have your organized spaces, we have to make sure that we revisit those systems and that we keep up those spaces with our organization. So that's it, y'all. I thank you for joining me. If you're just joining, we talked about the tried and true steps for organizing your home, keeping it organized. The first one was assessing your space, having goals for how you want it to function, how you want it to feel, how you want it to look. You want to purge, keep, sell, donate, and then you want to organize that space, find inspiration, get rid of all those broken things, the things you want to trash, use bins that you already have before you find new ones, and make sure that you find stuff that fits for your space. And then 4, revisit your system, so you can keep it updated, so you can keep it refreshed, so you can keep the system moving functional, and you can have peace and ease, because we are busy moms, we live busy lives, we have a lot of stuff going on. But don't let the house be the thing that clutters your brain and clutters your mind, because we want to make sure that we have time for ourselves, we have time for some self-care, for some joy, for some peace, for some creativity. And sometimes, I know for me, when I walk in my house and it's overwhelming, it kind of disconnects me from all those wonderful things. And again, life gets busy, but there are little things that we can do a little step at a time. So I thank you all for joining me for another live. I'll be back next Tuesday again next week. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll be back next week for another one. If you have any home organization struggles, if you have any spaces in your home that you want to revamp, you want to organize, you want a new system or routine for, let me know in the chat. If you have any questions while you're on here now, definitely let me know while we are on here. But DM me, chat after this is posted, comment and let me know, because as I'm continuing this series, I'm trying to touch on topics that we are all struggling with, we all deal with, and we all have to maintain in our homes, especially with it being spring. It's the spring refresh series. So I want to make sure that I'm touching on stuff that we can all benefit from as busy moms, as women, dads, whatever it is that we are struggling with in these areas as we are taking care of our kids and stewarding and maintaining our household. So definitely let me know. I'd be happy to touch on it or just help you out individually with some spaces in your home. But I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next live.